Well, if there's Mr. Pandaria news, it'd be really rude of me to not have a coffee and at least let you know. Yesterday, we finally got some movement in terms of MoP Classic development because we can now sign up to the Mr. Pandaria beta. I'll put a link in the description, but if you haven't already gone and signed up, obviously make sure you do. It doesn't guarantee access, but by the time it gets into the late stages of the beta, normally everybody gets in. I did a bit of a breakdown of the phases of Mr. Pandaria and rough dates and timelines that I expect to see things, and with the sign-ups now being available, has that affected anything at all? No, not really, it hasn't. So thanks for watching and I'll see you on the next one. Oh, I'm joking. This is going to be quite a strange one in comparison to something like Cataclysm Classic, because when we got the Cataclysm announcement and the sign-up for the beta, it was actually about 3 months before the beta actually started. Now, we know it's not going to be that sort of time frame again, purely because if it was 3 months from now when the beta started, we'd have been sat in Dragon Soul on the 30% debuff for a month or two, and I think people would be ready to quit. The developers know that an 8-boss raid should never last a year, like it did back in original Cataclysm. And quite honestly, I think the majority of people that are clearing Dragon Soul have kind of seen enough of it already. Hence why I think the numbers on Season of Discovery are looking healthier and healthier. Of course, a part of that will be to do with the new Scarlet raid that launched yesterday, which I think took everyone by surprise in terms of difficulty. Not seeing a Season of Discovery raid get completely face-rolled in an hour was actually quite refreshing. But anyway, this ain't about Season of Discovery, this is about Mr. Pandaria. Let's piece everything together logically. By the end of May, we know we're going to have the 30% nerf to Dragon Soul, and that's not going to last long, because by the time we get there, we'd have already been in Dragon Soul for 4 months. Now, we don't expect Dragon Soul to last any more than 5 months, and I think even 5 months for 8 bosses might be pushing it a little bit, especially when the hardest bosses are the last 2, and it takes nearly as long to kill them as it would to watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So with the beta sign-ups being available now, I would guess that it's going to be a couple of weeks tops. I would say by the end of this month, and I've been saying this constantly on stream. I stream over on Twitch and Kick, by the way. Links are in the description if you want to come over and say hello. But I've been saying the beta will kick off in April, and then we'll get the pre-patch around middle of June, and then towards the end of June / beginning of July, it'll be launch. Now, I know you're going to all jump in the comments going, oh my god, Scott, we already know when launch is, because it says it in really small text at the bottom of the collector's edition that you buy, where you get the mounts and the boost and all of that stuff. Well, yes, it says Mr. Pandaria will launch on or before the 31st of August. Now, think about it from Blizzard's perspective. They're not going to go out and say that it's going to launch on the 31st of August when they've not even done a beta yet. That will be their worst case scenario. At the very latest, we will get it the end of August. But that would be assuming that something went terribly, terribly wrong. But instead, if we think and we look at how long we're going to be in Dragon Soul, if we're in it for 4 months by the time the 30% nerf hits, then you're looking at probably another couple of weeks of playing around with the 30% nerf, and then a couple of weeks of still doing Dragon Soul as current content during the pre-patch, which again takes us nicely to a pre-patch being middle of June with a launch. If they done a pre-patch short like they normally do a pre-patch far shorter than I would like to see personally. 2 weeks is not long enough. So Blizzard, if you're watching, please give us like 4 weeks in the pre-patch, because while you might not feel like there's a lot to do in the pre-patch and you're kind of in limbo between the old expansion and the new expansion, it's an experience that only lasts that small period of time. Smashing Dragon Soul for 4 weeks with a 30% nerf, and with having access to monks and all of our new talents and all of that stuff, will be really, really fun, and gives people a chance to level multiple monks, like I'm going to be doing 3, or even starting to level your pets up before you go into Pandaria, so you can straight away start battling MoP pets. I know not everyone's excited about pet battles, but I am personally, and going into MoP actual when it launches with lots and lots of level 25 pets, like, I'm looking forward to that personally. And then the other thing that I've said time and time again is when it comes to launch, I really, really, really hope they give us a good week or 2, like they normally do, to be fair, before the raids open, and I'd love to see the raids staggered. Now, back in original Mr. Pandaria, they launched Mogashun Vaults first. Obviously, they done the whole clearing normal before you can go and do heroic. We don't need that. We can go straight into heroic, that's fine. But I would like to see it how it launched before, where Mogashun Vaults comes out on its own. A few weeks later, then you've got Heart of Fear and Terrace opening together, but you can't go in Terrace unless you've cleared Heart of Fear. Now, I'd love to see it exactly the same way, just to slow it down a bit, because quite honestly, there's so much content going to be thrown at you from the pre-patch onwards that actually having a little bit of downtime between the raid tiers would be a good thing. But then I also understand from the other perspective what a lot of people have said to me when I've voiced this opinion, well, actually, it's a lot easier for people with proper jobs to be able to book a week off work and do all the progress at once, rather than having one raid come out where they're going to need a few days off work, and then the next raid tier comes out and they'll book time off there. I know that only applies to a specific sort of person or guild, because not everyone's going to book time off work for a World of Warcraft raid, but obviously some people do. But me personally, I think from a longevity perspective and actually not feeling completely overwhelmed at launch, I think having those raids staggered would just be better for the game overall, forgetting the individuals. But that's it, the MoP beta sign-ups here. So that's how I think it's going to go. I think beta maybe next week, latest week after. Either way, I'm hopeful it's going to be this month. And then I reckon pre-patch June with launch late June, early July. There you go. Come back to this video when it launches in December and we're all playing MoP around the Christmas table on the 25th of December, telling me I'm wrong. This was just a quick news update. Back to the proper MoP content tomorrow. See you on the next one is what I normally say, so I'll go with see you on the next one.